was that? Offer, wave one. Then we gave them offer packet. We told them to do this, use this to secure interest to transfer to this account for obligation. All right, meaning we gave them something, and we also gave them instructions on what to do with that benefit. So since they didn't do it, were we able to benefit? No. Okay. All right, it says the defendant received, accepted, or retained that benefit. The benefit does not need to be money. Only it can be property, services, rights, performance, that's big right there, or even a legal forbearance, not suing, not enforcing rights. All right, so if I tell, so John Rosenthal told Chase to do what with his $5 million? Transfer it to the account to fulfill the obligation, right? Now, if they don't do that, did he benefit? No. All right, now some people will ask, well, how did they benefit? Because they holding this money, y'all. Let's keep it simple. Don't overthink it. Like, well, how do I prove they use it? I gave it to you. What do you mean? It don't matter how you use it. You got it, right? You gotta think about it like that. Sometimes we try to go too deep. We try to prove too much, but we don't need to prove that. You just gotta prove, did you give it's like me, if I'm coming to you, did you give him an application? If you say yes, I'm gonna ask, okay, what did you do with it? We're not gonna ask, oh, you didn't do nothing with it. Okay, well, it don't count. No, did you give the money back to him? What they gonna say? No. So that means you benefited because you plus $5 million. Do y'all understand that? You're plus $5 million. He's negative $5 million. All right? He hasn't benefited. You have benefited. Even if you're just holding it, you're benefiting from it because you have the feeling of holding $5 million. You see what I'm saying? So you got to be able to kind of see it in that light. You can't look at it like, well, I can't prove it, so they didn't benefit from me. Shh. But yes, they did. Okay? Yes, they did. I'm telling y'all, every single application you gave was turned into a security. Every single one, because if I'm a financial institution, I'm turning everything into a security. And I'm gonna tell the consumer, oh, no, you're not. You're not. Sorry, credit score. All right? If I was a bad guy. You see how easy it is? You see all these corporations, oh, new bank over here, new bank over here, come over here, we got 0% on this. Hey, Bank of America got the new thing, if you're a minority, you can come get a house with no down payment. You been had that right. You see how they give you stuff and make it seem like it's a special? All right, but when you've been doing it for so long, you start giving things to people and they think it's a specialty. When that was really your rights from the get-go. You're not supposed to put anything down on the home. Okay, let's continue.
Mansa, real quick. In the court, will you ever get in a situation where the corporation will say, well, here's your back?
Oh, they try to give it back. So the question is, what happens when the corporation try to give it back? If I go and give you $5 million to cover a home, and I leave, and I come back, and you about to give it back to me, is that a damage?
Oh, yeah.
Somebody said no. It's a damage to me. Because why? Because I thought everything was getting done. I'm coming back to my money still on the table. What are we doing? So you didn't carry out the instructions like I told you. That is a fault. I'm hurt now because I expected a home to be right here to put my family in. You wasted my time. It's called a constructive of trust, impeding on trust business, impeding on business. You did not carry out the instructions. That is the dishonor. All right. So again, we ain't gonna play those in because they'll try. Well, we didn't do anything. Documents here. Your documents right here. Okay. Why didn't you do what I told you to go do? You see what I'm saying? Dishonor. That's how you gotta look at it. That's why I say you gotta put your boss cap on. If your employees or your kids do not do their chores, that's how you gotta look at it. Didn't I tell you to clean that room? You see what I'm saying? I know it's hard to look at it like that because they're banks and you've been paying them and you feel like they just come take you home, which they'll try. But when you understand your rights, this is how you fight, fam. This is how you defend. This is how you protect your home. This is how you protect your car, your accounts. All right? Hope that answers your question. All right, let's continue. So examples. A consumer sends lawful tender, bill of exchange, set-off, private credit. Corporation receives the tender. Corporation fails to return or reject the benefit, yet keeps it or uses it. Okay? Now again, if they return it to me, I'm going to ask you, why did you return this to me? Are they going to give me a lawful reason? No. They're going to say, oh, we can't do this. Is that not dishonor? Yes. All right? So that even if they try that, family, focus on, okay, well, push it again. You send it back to me. Why am I sending it back and forth? All right, these obligations not being tendered. Now the $5 million is not getting transferred. Now the account is looking like it has not been performed. All right. All right. Another example. Well, this is another element. So the first element was benefit conferred. You got to prove that basically you did not benefit from what you gave. Remember, the tender of payment is the minimum amount. So whatever amount that you're tendering, that's the minimum amount. Okay, and that's how much you gave. That was value. You gave something. Don't ever say you didn't give anything. You did. I'm telling you, you gave something. If you gave them an application, you gave them something. All right. Next element, appreciation or knowledge of the benefit. You must show the defendant knew or reasonably should have known that they received the benefit. How do we prove that they should have known that they received the benefit? Wave 1. Yeah, certified mail. Or proof that we delivered our offer. All right. Y'all see how we got to do 2 things at once? All I got to do is hit these elements. I can ignore them in court. Because it's me and the judge, really. I just got to prove to the judge that I've hit all of my elements and they breached. Of course, they're going to say they didn't because they don't understand what's going on. You see what I'm saying? It's not like they can come and say, oh my gosh, we didn't know we did this. We're sorry. Here you go. All right. They're going to honestly say, we did not do that, sir. Or Your Honor, we did not do that. All right. Because inside, they actually believe it. All right. I want y'all to understand this is not a normal process. It's not just millions of people out here just winning cases. All right, exercising their right to secure the injury. That's why you don't see a lot of cases, because ain't no bank would be dumb enough to lose. It can be the day of court. They can call you right before it happened to me and settle with you right before the hearing. All right, so now when they settle with you, you think that's going to be on the public record? No, you know how many people ask me, well, why aren't there no case I can look up? This stuff ain't real. Because again, why would a bank allow themselves to be on the public record to lose to a consumer over a negotiable instrument? Now that's gonna get passed around and people be like, this is what I use. This is what I use. If I'm a bank, I'm gonna cut my ties early, right before court. All right, I see the judges. I'm gonna throw my motion to dismiss out there. You might have a good complaint. I might throw a motion to dismiss for lack of claim just to see if you know how to respond. And then when you answer that, do a motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction just to see if you know how to respond. Just to see what hit. Because what happens when you don't respond? Guess what? I just beat you. All right? That's why I said when you answer to all the motion to dismiss and you get to that hearing, a lot of them corporations crumble because a lot of people can't get past the pretrial. How many people lost in pretrial before? Pretrial is basically before you even get to your hearing. You filed a case, now they go back and forth, motion dismiss for this, and you don't answer, then basically the judge rules with their motion. You don't even get to your hearing. Some people get to their hearing, get to court, and don't know how to answer the judge's questions. Some of the questions look like this. Where did the money come from? You know how many people don't know how to explain that? They're like, where did the money come from? Well, HJR 192 says there is no money, Your Honor. You see what I'm saying? Like, the judge is looking for, okay, where did the obligation come from? We focusing on the small thing. He's focusing on, okay, they're saying you owe them. There's a contract that you signed that says you would uphold this obligation. Now you saying there's no money. What are we doing here? You said that's a sovereign citizen, y'all. If you want to know what a sovereign citizen is, somebody that runs to court and doesn't know how to articulate what they're doing. They only say a bunch of hearsay. All right, when the judge asks you, how is this money? Where did the money come from? You gonna let them know I created a negotiable instrument. I created a negotiable instrument. Then I had one guy say, well, how are we that powerful? So how are we this powerful? I said, hey man, you gotta read the Federal Reserve. They're the one that said it. Okay, go read UCC Article 3. They're the ones that we can create negotiable instruments. All right, I didn't create it. You see what I'm saying? This is power that we are able to use. Instead of fighting, I would more so be more optimistic and like, okay, let's go. I can use this power now. I can go create a negotiable instrument. How can I do that? With an application and a tender of payment. All right, so go look at Federal Reserve Section 16. Make sure y'all write that down. Federal Reserve Section 16, Part 1. It talks about how an application, okay, is received by all national and member banks. Okay, now what is a national bank? Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo. All right, what is a member bank? A state bank. That's like your Florida State Bank. All right, it literally tells you every single application is receivable. Does everybody know the word receivable mean? It means you receive something. All right, it does not say applications are deniable. It just says receivable. Y'all got to understand how they use the wordplay. They're literally telling you all your applications was received. They was not denied. And when you go read this for yourself, Federal Reserve, Section 16, Part 1. Literally gonna say all applications, okay, may make, no, it says all financial institutions, all Federal Reserve banks, all banks may make application to the Federal Reserve. All right, now how does the banks go to the Federal Reserve? Can they just go there with no name? No, they need somebody, right? They need a key, right? They need somebody's social. They need somebody's EIN. Okay, so it says the banks may make application. All right, it doesn't say a consumer in there. Why? Because the consumer is the investor. A consumer has to go through a who? A bank. Y'all remember we talking about borrowers, right? 12 USC 1431. Remember when it says all banks are borrowers? Okay, so Federal Reserve in code would literally be saying all borrowers may make applications to the Federal Reserve. We have to select our borrower. Who is John Rosenthal's borrower? Chase. Okay, because Chase received the application and they may make the exchange at the Federal Reserve. Can John Rosenthal do that himself? Why would he? You know how many people trying to do that themselves? And these are the people that's gonna be in your orange jumpsuits, you know, some like wear green, all right? And this is the people that's gonna get these federal charges, y'all. All right, there's people locked up right now for 15 years, 20 years for wire fraud, okay? Or frivolous claims, because people trying to go straight to the Federal Reserve window and go cash in billion-dollar bonds. And they are convictional about it too. You talk to them, they say, no, this is what we're all supposed to do. They believe it. And I'm letting you know now, you're supposed to find a borrower and let the borrower go make that exchange. Now, y'all, we're bosses. We don't got time to go do that. We don't got time for that. All right, so we go find a borrower and let the borrower go handle our financial affairs. Now, if the borrower goes against the principal's benefit, what is that? Unjust enrichment. All right, who's the principal? The all caps name. Okay, so you gotta understand, we have to basically be the security guard for the all caps. All right, so John Rosenthal, again, is going against Chase. Chase mismanages $5 million. John Rosenthal is suing for unjust enrichment on his verified complaint. One of his claims is unjust enrichment because he is out of $5 million. All right, y'all see how we building it? Okay, again, you might not get it now, but that's why I say record it with your phones if you have to, so you kind of go back to it. A lot of times people go back like, oh, I see what he meant now. A lot of times when you're in the moment, you don't really pick up at the time. But let's keep going. All right, next element. All right, it says courts require proof that the corporation was aware tender was sent. How do we prove that tender was sent? Registered mail showing that it was delivered or tracking. We can say, Your Honor, they did accept, they received this. Now, can they say, yeah, we received it, but we didn't read it though? You see what I'm saying? We're not trying to prove that, because some people ask me that. Well, how do we prove that they acknowledged it? The tracking. That's where the UPS comes in, or the Postal Service comes in. All right, the tracking. I can prove that I sent this, they received it, Your Honor. All right, they did not receive, they did not send anything back. Okay. It says they processed it, opened it, accepted it, or retained it. How do we have proof that they received it? Tracking, family. It's easy. We're not gonna make it hard. Don't overthink it. All right, because a lot of check boxes can be checked off, but simply by just asking yourself, okay, yeah, I sent it to them. Here's my proof right here. Okay. It says they had constructive knowledge through delivery, confirmed receipt, or accounts record. We just talked about that. They had legal notice through affidavit. What affidavit did we send in wave one? Affidavit of truth, affidavit of claim security interest. Okay, so we're literally letting them know that we transferred something in those affidavits. All right, so it says examples. Wave one tender package sent via certified overnight mail. All right, tracking shows delivery. They responded or remained silent. Silence equals acceptance under UCC 1-303. I'll write that down. UCC 1-303 talks about silence or acquiescence, meaning when they don't respond to something, all right, you can assume that it stands to be true. All right. In this stage of game and law, assumption is actually good because a lot of people assume you dead. A lot of people assume that you agree with forking over all your rights. All right, so we kind of got to flip it. We want to assume that they received this, accepted it, but they just didn't carry the duties out. All right. Number 3, inequitable or unjust retention of the benefit. You must show that it will be unfair, inequitable, or contrary to the good conscience for the defendant to keep the benefit without compensating or crediting the plaintiff. All right, so basically you got, in John Rosenthal's perspective, he has to prove to the court how it doesn't make sense for them to hold on to $5 million and him not receive anything. So it's kind of like you kind of got to get personal with the judge. Like, Your Honor, would you be okay with you giving $5 million and the corporation not carrying out basically the obligations on that $5 million? The judge might say, well, I would feel some type of way about that, but how does that partake in this subject matter at hand? Well, I gave them a negotiable instrument that was $5 million. All right, under UCC Article 3, it talks about how to create a negotiable instrument, how a negotiable instrument is supposed to be processed. All right, I follow all rules and regulations. I gave them a wave 1. As far as my offer, they didn't respond. I sent them a wave 2, which was my opportunity to cure. I sent them a wave 3, which was my enforcement. I gave them ample understanding, informed intentions of what I'm trying to do with my security collateral. All right, so what happens when they don't perform? It is breach, even though we're talking about unjust enrichment. I'm just showing y'all how we can, we can kind of get special with it. Breach of security interest, unjust enrichment. You have discrimination, but again, we just focusing on one. If you're more comfortable with discrimination, focus on that. If you're more comfortable with breach of contract, focus on that. All right, but right now we're talking about unjust enrichment because I'm literally giving you the game right here. I'm literally giving you the lawful awareness so you can put together your court complaint. All right. All right, so it says this includes when the corporation retains the benefit but refuse to apply it to the account. Did they put $5 million towards this account? No. All right. It says retains the benefit and still tries to collect or foreclose. How many times have you tendered the payment but they still try to foreclose you? Well, they still said the account is due. All right, they let you know that you have not benefited from your tender. All right, operates in dishonor after commercial notice. Did we give the commercial notice? Yes, wave 1. All right, so since we gave the commercial notice, went to our wave 2, they still didn't say nothing. Now we get to our wave 3. Okay, again, we're just going over all the elements of unjust enrichment. You see how detailed you got to be? You can't just go in there and say, hey, they stole my stuff. No, you got to meet the rules and regulations. 3 elements of why unjust enrichment occurred. Okay, now I'm doing the last one. A 4th element, absence of a valid contract governing the dispute. This doesn't mean no contract exists. It means the contract does not cover the subject matter of the benefit. The contract becomes voidable because the corporation dishonored, tender, or breached first. All right, meaning we have a contract, but it wasn't how we intended to be because I gave you this $5 million, but you did not carry out the duties of the $5 million. So this is not the contract that I wanted. All right, so understand you have the right to say something. You have the right to renegotiate. Make sure y'all write that down. I have the right to renegotiate. If you don't like the term that you signed in the beginning of the deal, all right, long as it's benefiting both parties, you can redress. All right, and it benefits both parties when you utilize your security interest because both parties get performed. Y'all see how that works? As long as I do my full performance, and if the bank say, okay, thank you, we're going to satisfy the account, both parties supposed to win, right? But the problem we're going into is banks basically going off policy. We're going against people that are at these jobs and basically giving us this pushback. You're not going against private bankers. Y'all do understand that, right? All right, you're going against people that, your everyday folks that does not know about law. Just went to orientation and literally telling you that's not our policy. All right, so from there, we got to kind of put all that together, then file a court complaint, which is why we're talking about a verified complaint. Go ahead.
All right, so say for instance the banks is not rocking with us and the judge ain't rocking with us. How would we secure, I guess, evidence for appellate reasons?
Well, if they say the judge, let's say you good, you did everything you feel like you were supposed to, you just feel like the judge didn't give you a chance to kind of explain what you're trying to do. That's why I tell a lot of people documentation over conversation. All right, because as long as your statements and your evidence is crystal clear, all right, your articulation might not be there. All right. The judge might say, nah, I ain't hearing this. But you can appeal. The appellate court is not going to go off of what y'all said to each other. They're gonna go off what you done put in.
Would that just be, sorry to cut you off, would that just be on, like what you put on record, like in court?
Yeah, what you put on record. Because if it ain't on record, that means they're not gonna use it. And a lot of people, I had a guy say, should I add in all my receipts for evidence? I say, well, what else you gonna do with it? You gonna hold on to it? You gotta remember, that's our ammo. If we don't put it on record, it's as if it never happened. And if we don't have no evidence, we don't have no case. All right? So, verified complaint. We're talking about the other way. Okay.
So when you said you could renegotiate the contract, right? Let's say you renegotiate the contract, what happened to the funds from the initial contract?
From the initial, we renegotiate. In the renegotiation, you're claiming the security interest. So you're basically setting that current contract to zero. And that being zero means that you're getting your payments back. So remember we were talking about, let me break it out to the analogy. Remember we were talking about the car being 100,000, and let's say I paid 50,000. Ideally, a lot of people would think, well, I just got 50,000 more to pay. So I'm gonna do you see what I'm saying? So I'm gonna do a negotiable instrument for 50,000 when actually she can do 100,000. And it's all based of my intent. And a lot of people don't understand they can do that. And I always ask them, have you used the security interest? If your answer is no, that means you can claim the full contract. Always tell yourself that if you haven't claimed the security interest, that means you have the full security interest that you can still claim. All right. Now going back to the verified complaint. All right. Now we still chopping it down. Again, on your verified complaint, again, the top should be the title of the court, the jurisdiction, the county that you're in. Right up under that should be your parties. Right up under that should be your claim. What are you suing for? All right. You should also have your preliminary statement, basically giving a brief description of what you are suing for. After that, you have your cause of action. That's going to be, again, that's why we just broke down unjust enrichment. In your cause of action, you need to have your elements. All right, at least 3 elements to prove unjust enrichment. I would even go to my ChatGPT and ask, okay, I'm in Texas. How many elements do I have to have in Texas in the county of such and such, all right, to prove unjust enrichment? They may say you need 4. All right, this state over here might say you only need 2. All right, that's why I say you got to find your rules and regulations for what you're trying to do. All right, because that's what the judge looks for. They don't really look for what's true and what ain't true. They looking for